so we can try to beat the rain if we can. After our last meeting, I realized a couple people came up to me, and some of our new drivers don't always know who I am. So I'll start out with an introduction of myself. I'm Mike Greenbaum. I am the Executive Director of Newtrax. And so pleased that everyone can be here again today and that we're able to get together in person. Just a couple quick housekeeping things before we get started. The brats today, I did the first half, and Steve did the second half. So if they're good, they're the ones I made, and if they're not, please don't blame me. It must have been Steve's fault. Secondly, as certain restrictions have loosened up a little bit, I have been able to get back out in the community a lot more over the last month or so with meetings around the city, have had numerous meetings with the school district and all sorts of different areas. And I just want this group to know and understand the appreciation that our community has for the work that Newtrax has done over the last 18 months. Almost without exception, as we go around, introduce ourselves, talk about what's happened over the last 18 months, we have people from the city of White Bear, the school district, the food shelf, some local shelters that comment on the partnerships that they've had with Newtrax that has resulted in people being fed. It resulted in helping out our community and resulted in just community collaboration. And without the flexibility and your willingness to do what's asked of you, totally different from one day to the next and totally different from possibly the job you were hired for, none of that could happen. And please know and understand that that is being recognized in our greater community. So we have done an amazing job as a team and as a group of not only doing what our day-to-day jobs are, but by rolling up our sleeves and helping out our community as a whole. And everyone in here should feel very, very proud of that. So thank you. We have a full agenda. We'll try to get going as quickly as possible, and Reenie's going to start with some introductions of our new drivers.
All right. We've got 4 new drivers from last month that we had our drivers meet. I just want to introduce you guys. You might know them already. We have Mike Myers here, not from the Halloween movie.
How do you know?
Or maybe we don't know that. Next to him is Joe Tricola. And then over here we have Bob Spencer. And then back here we have Mary Terry. So these guys are all sub-drivers, so really be nice to them so you guys can take vacations and then they can help you cover your roads. So money might talk to a little bit, I don't know. I'm sure it will for me. All right, that's all I got so far. So I'm leaving it. Do you need something?
No, he said you need to pass the attendance sheet.
And then also, there is, make sure you sign off on the sheet here to make sure we know that you're here. And if you guys need any agendas or anything, I got extras over on the table. All right, here's mine.
Melanie and Scott are currently passing out an updated COVID preparedness plan as an organization. We haven't updated this for a while, and since vaccinations have been available, and with the changes in policies and procedures, we wanted to make sure we got this updated. So we will ask that everyone sign this updated plan and return it to us so they're aware of the changes that have been made. And I'm going to go through and highlight what some of those changes are. I'm going to start by one of the most basic changes is the break room and lunch room We have taken a lot of the restrictions off of that, and as you know, because we haven't been enforcing them, we are no longer with one person at a table and ensuring that there's always a distancing in there. We do, however, continue to encourage people whenever possible to distance, and when not, to wear a mask when they're not eating and drinking. So that has been removed from this preparedness plan. And then a lot of other significant changes are in that number 3 in the procedures. And I want to highlight the 1.11 that talks about if there is contact with someone that has a confirmed case of COVID-19. If you are vaccinated, we recommend that there's testing 3 to 5 days after an exposure. And if there is an exposure, you should be wearing a mask for 14 days after that exposure and a negative test. So if you are vaccinated and there is a close contact that's defined on here, immediately you do not need to do anything different unless you have symptoms. But we do recommend, for your own peace of mind, and so we know that we're not exposing others, that you get a test 3 to 5 days after that exposure. If you are unvaccinated and both parties are wearing a mask, it is those same guidelines, that you get a test 5 to 7 days after. You do not have to quarantine if you're asymptomatic, but for anyone that is not vaccinated, as we ask for you to do currently, we ask that you wear a mask at all times if you are unvaccinated. If there's an exposure and you are unvaccinated and both parties are not wearing a mask, you should quarantine then and get a test 5 to 7 days after that exposure, and then bring us a copy of that confirmed negative test, and that's when you can go back to work. All right? It is a Department of Transportation requirement, regardless of vaccination status, that you be wearing a mask if you are not behind the plastic shield while driving. So if you have the plastic shield up and you don't want to wear that mask because it fogs up your glasses or something like that while you're driving, you do not need to. But if that plastic shield is not up, it is a requirement that you mask while driving. Okay? If there's any issues with the plastic shield that you see in a bus, please let Greenie or Douglas know that. They'll work with our mechanics to make sure that that gets taken care of. All right? Whether or not you are vaccinated, if you develop symptoms, you should inform your supervisor, go home, isolate, and then get a test. So any questions on those procedures? Just another reminder that if you are not vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask at all times when around others. All right, that is still the guidelines, that is still the recommendation, and our hope and desire for everyone at this organization. We have done an amazing job of minimizing exposures within our organization over the last 18 months, and we want to ensure that that continues. I know you've probably all heard of the CDC, Department of Health, the authorization that organizations over 100 people are being asked to mandate vaccinations. We are not over 100 people, and it is not our intent as of right now to mandate vaccinations for our drivers. But on a personal note, more so than the executive director of Newtrax, I ask that you consider being vaccinated if you have not yet. We truly care about everyone in this room, and although I know and I understand that a vaccination does not mean that you absolutely cannot get COVID-19, But from my own experience and my own research, the effects of COVID-19 in a large part are minimized if you are vaccinated. And so even more than an organizational standpoint, from a personal standpoint, because of how much you all mean to me and to us as an organization, I really ask that if you have not, that you consider and think about that choice and decision that you are making. So, and again, I emphasize, it is not our intent as of this point that we will mandate it. That is not the direction that we want to go or see ourselves going right now. That's not the type of organization we want to be. But we hope that you seriously consider it. All right, I think that's all I have for right now. And
How about the booster shot? What's the status of it?
great question. We're going to still let that play out a little bit. Mark, it's right now the CDC came out and they are not recommending it. It's for those that are not 65 or have medical conditions right now. We will continue monitoring that situation, and if at a point that it is recommended for everyone, we will work on finding vaccination clinics again that we can recommend that people go to. But at this point, we have Newtrax is not making any recommendation to or not to get the booster shot. Melanie reminded me that, you know, our county, and right now we are in a high transmitting location, so that is another reason to continually try to wear your masks.
Vaccinated or unvaccinated?
Or whether you're vaccinated or not, that is the recommendation. So again, any other questions that anyone has regarding this? I'll give a quick update on our automated vehicle. I know that continues to be a question that people have. Still trying to lock down our insurance on it. Everything else is all ready to go other than insurance, and we're waiting to get that all in place.
Okay, let's go into some passenger assistant type things. So I want to talk a little bit about time stamping the clients when we get to the sites, because I know that's been a little bit of a thorn lately. So what we've talked to Merrick and PAI, and the clients need to, they're trying to very hard to give the clients a full day so that they can make their money and they can, you know, make a living. That they need to have a 5.75 hours a day. So a lot of times when we get there to these sites or when we drop them off, they are not getting that 5.75 hours, and it's creating some tie-ups at the sites where they may not be bringing the clients out right when you guys get there. So you're waiting there, and then your routes become late, and it can be a problem. So what we've come up with is as soon as you get to the sites in the morning to drop off your clients, that's when you should sign all your people off. Like, sign them off your bus, saying that you delivered them to the sites, okay? Then in the afternoon, when you come to pick them up again, don't timestamp them that they're on your bus until you've loaded everybody on your bus and you're just about to leave the site, and that's when you should timestamp them that they are on the bus. Does that make sense to everybody? That way, even just, you might say, well, that doesn't sound like it's giving them very much, but it is when you think about it. You might be, at a site, and there might be 3 buses ahead of you that they haven't unloaded yet. You still get credit for being there at that site. Okay, that time still counts for the clients, and it does add up for them. So, and the same thing with loading them in the afternoon. It may take you a while to load if you have, 3 or 4 wheelchairs. It's going to take you a while to load all those on. So you're giving everybody on your bus all those extra minutes that can count up to 5.75 hours for everybody. Okay? Yes?
Have you ever gotten an explanation from Merrick or any of them as to when they understand that they received the clients?
Well, it's going to all depend on this whole thing now too. So it's going to go hand in hand with how we're doing it here. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they will start doing that for us. Okay?
Well, I mean, they can tell me they got their jackets off or whatever, and then time stamping it, or they time stamping it as they're receiving.
To be honest with you, I don't know when they are actually doing it inside their, because a lot of sites like Commerce, I know, takes their temperature when they come in the door, and I think that's when they timestamp them there. But if they can look, they're going to look at our stats and our hours and our minutes that we stamp everybody in, and go with that as to add on to how much time they have recorded inside their facility. Does that help?
Yes, that's all.
Okay. And yes?
Okay, so if I'm at a certain person's house and I'm leaving there 15 minutes, can I salt stamping right then, or do I need to know what?
I think I heard if you're at a person's house and they're waiting for 15 minutes to come out to your bus, and you want to stamp them as soon as you get there to the house, I recommend you not doing that, just because there's all that 15 minutes of you timestamp them in, and then they end up not coming out onto your bus. Then,
As soon as you see them exit the house, that's when you can have.
okay, as soon as you see them exit the house, you can timestamp them. Okay, but as we're going to talk about here in a little bit, is you shouldn't be waiting at someone's house for 15 minutes. Sometimes it does take time to call and get somebody to answer the phone in there. We appreciate your patience. The thing about it is, when you get to a house and you're waiting 15 minutes before you call the dispatchers to call into the house, don't do that. Always wait. You have that 10 minutes on each side. Like, say you're supposed to be at George's house by 7 o'clock, and you are there at 7 o'clock. Well, you have 10 minutes on either side of 7 o'clock to get to George's house. If you're going to get there way early, you need to call dispatch and let them get that person, tell that person that you're going to be early. And then that way they can have them ready to get out to your house. Out to the bus. Thank you. So if you get there at, let's say, 20 minutes past your times, past 7 o'clock, you should be calling dispatch before you even get there and saying, hey, I'm running 20 minutes behind. Can you call George's house and let him know that I will be there in 10 minutes? Or if you know a time ETA, that's great. If you don't, just say, I'm running 20 minutes behind. So that way we can call George's house and say, hey, our bus is running behind. I know it's winter and you have them all bundled up and ready to go, but you might want to open their jacket a little bit so they don't sweat to death while they're waiting for the bus. You know what I mean? So let's give a little courtesy to the houses, and they appreciate that so much. They really love that heads up call. And they'll be a lot nicer to you also if you're getting there late and they've already had that courtesy call. They're going to be like, yeah, we got the call. Thank you so much for letting us know. So it's much appreciated. Yep.
I have a couple
No, 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 no. We are curb,
Come on, focus.
we are curb to curb company. We are not, we do not go up to doors and knock and say, hey, are you guys coming yet? You know, and that's the same thing for when we're at the sites in the afternoon. If your people are not coming out, that does not give you a free ticket to go up to the door or go into the site and say, hey, are my people ready to go yet? No, 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 we don't do that either.
So, if I see a situation like that, I should call the dispatch.
Yes.
Okay.
Call dispatch and they can help you out. They are your support. They are there for you guys.
All right.
Okay? Yes, Scott?
Just a slight exception with the community on that, because we will help people with their groceries up to the building, but we do not go inside. So there's a little exception to that. We'll talk about that with the drivers later.
Okay? Yes, Ken?
Well, I have a house that I talked to the manager, and he told me that I'm the only one that doesn't walk to the door or call them ahead of time to let them know I'm there. And, you know, I don't get that. I said, well, you're gonna have to talk to our staff.
That's exactly right.
But I'm the only one apparently that I told him I'll honk twice, you know, let you know I'm here.
We don't want to, we don't want to do a lot of honking either, like, come on, get out here, because we got neighbors too. But, you know, if you want, Ken, and let us know that the stop before you get to that house, have dispatch, call in a dispatch and say, hey, I'm on the way to George's house, I'll be there in 5 minutes, can you let them know I'm coming? Okay? Absolutely. Metro will take them right into their house, I think, sometimes, but we do not do that. Please do not do that. That's opening a whole other can of worms for you guys. That's a big liability, so. Marky.
The 5.75 hours don't start in the bus, does it?
Yes.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
I thought it started at
Please. Yeah.
Oh, in the afternoon or morning?
anytime. The 5.75 starts in the bus.
When you timestamp them, and when you pick them up in the morning and you timestamp them that they're coming on your bus, that's when their hours, no, I'm sorry, no. The timestamp or the 5.7 hours starts when you get and drop them off or pick them up at the site.
Yeah. So, who cares how long it takes them to get your bus? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But if it's taken you 15, 20 minutes for people to come out at each of your stops, that's lessening their day. When they get to the sites, that's lessening their 5.75 hours because you're not dropping them off on time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I bring up every morning, I get 50 minutes to go. Mom said she will not answer the phone to the site. So if the person doesn't answer the phone, they didn't come out. How long do I wait? Are you still going to be available?
What's that?
Are you still going to be available?
Yeah, it should be 3 minutes past.
It's 3 minutes, ever.
And if you guys have a problem at one of your houses that it's never 3 minutes, then let us know so that we can call the house and tell them.
That's why I said you have to talk to the dispatch, they're the ones that are making mistakes. Instead of mom saying, oh, walking up to the left and right, no, I got bus go people, I'm not leaving my bus.
Right. So we will talk as a team about the procedures that we need to have tightened up a little bit. Come and talk to me afterwards and talk to me about Trevor. Okay? Because he doesn't have a, well, we'll talk about it afterwards when we're not in the big group, okay? Does anybody else have any other questions about time stamping? Yes, Tom.
Most of my drop-off and pickup times are less than 5 3/4 hours apart.
I didn't hear all that, I'm sorry.
So he said
Example, my first drop-off is 7:30. They don't ever come to get my people until 7:30. My pickup time is supposed to be 12:50. That is 5 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
we'll take a look at that. If you have situations like that, let us know. We'll see if there's a reason for that particular time. Let us know.
Yeah, we can tweak it a little bit. We'll tweak it. All right, let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about cleaning your buses. Now, it's not really super hot outside anymore, and it's not really super cold because winter, thank God, is not here yet. So it's perfect weather to get into the habit of sweeping your buses out, bringing them, mop them out at least once a week, please. I don't care what day you bring them up and pull them up and use that mop, but please make sure that your buses are getting cleaned. Especially with the rise in COVID cases, we want to make sure that they are being sanitized and kept clean for the clients and for yourselves. Okay? So once a week, please try to mop out your bus. And if you need any of the cleaning supplies, let me know, and I will get them for you. I have more mop heads and stuff upstairs. Yes. Yes, that's great. I will order some more of those buckets and mops and handles and all the good stuff. Thank you. All right, midday outing sheets. Now, PAI is starting to do midday outings, as you all know. Can you start one of these that way?
So, take a look, pass it down.
Take a look at it.
Take a look at it.
Take a look at it and pass it on.
Take a look at it.
This is an outing sheet.
Is that an outing sheet?
Yes, Doug, it is an outing sheet.
Ooh.
We used to, I know some of the people that have been here for a while probably have seen these before, but some of the newbies probably have not really seen them. Or maybe you've forgotten about them because we haven't been doing outings for quite a while. So I want to just go over it, refresh it with you. If you have a midday outing, grab one of these sheets because you are going to need to write down the mileage, beginning and ending mileage, so that we can put it in our 5310s. Yes?
It's not community outings, just for midday programs.
Just the midday outings for the programs. These are not for the community outings. Okay? Those are another different sheet that Trevor and Scott print up for you. And then you're going to put the starting locations. Okay, I'm picking up at Linden. And we are going to the Maplewood Mall. Okay? As you can see, I have 3 ambulatory people. And I have 4 wheelchairs. So I want to make sure I'm marking all those on there. We need to make sure we mark how many times we're using our lifts for MnDOT. Okay, so that's one trip. Then when you come back again, you're going to pick them up at Maplewood Mall, and you're going to take them back to Linden. And you're going to, again, mark off how many ambulatory people you had and how many wheelchair people you had. Now, the ambulatory does not count, you don't need to count the staff that goes with you. It's just the clients that we need to know. Okay? So make sure you record all that stuff, put your name on the bottom, and hand them in when you bring in your DVIs or your inspection sheets, because then Whitney will turn around and put these into our 5310 program, and that is how we get funding at the end of the year. That's how we get funding for running these buses and running our company. Yes? I don't think we are assisting yet. We used to, but we don't do that anymore. And these sheets are found in the wooden, where those wooden shelves are over by the keys and where you guys put your tablets. There's a whole ton of them. So if you know you're going to be doing a midday outing at PAI, make sure you grab a couple of these and fill them out for me, please. Yep, and make sure you put the date and your bus number on here too, so that we know all of the facts and all of where to put the right information at. Thank you, Whitney. Any questions about these, you guys? Yes. Really? Really? Well, that's something. That's something we'll have to go back. We'll go back and try to figure out those numbers. And if you can, I don't know, if you can remember and write it down for Whitney, that would be. She would love that. We could just start today. Don't worry about going back. We'll just start it today. Okay? We'll make it easy for you. All right? Yes? We're not at that point yet.
No. Oh,
No.
actually, wait. I could, but it would require work on your end as well.
You can understand you.
Yes, it is possible, but it would require a new program that you'd have to be familiar with.
And we can work on that. So we'll work on that because what the ultimate goal for those tablets was to become paperless. So that's what we're trying to work towards right now. Yeah. I know.
But yes, I will look to make that happen for you, Mark. It's not going to happen this week.
Make it happen. Yes? Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Are shuttling clients to work considered outing?
Yeah, I think they are. Kowalski's and stuff, you mean? Yes.
We need that now.
Yeah, you can start grabbing these and put them on that. Absolutely.
Then where do we turn those sheets in?
You know where you turn your DDIs or your inspection sheets in on that over by the keys? In that basket, that black basket? You can just put them in there. Okay? All right. Moving right along.
Would you like me to hold something for you?
All right. So we have already talked about half of what I got here, so I won't bore you with it, repeating it. I know you guys are getting hungry. So we talked about the 10 minutes either side of the pickup time. We want you still to get up out of your seat and greet your clients, whether that means getting out and going around the front, or even if you got clients that are like right there and they run up onto your bus, try to be at the top of the stairs.
You can't do that with glasses. You can't get out.
Then get out and go around.
By the time you get out and go around, they're already at the bus.
Well, you can at least be out there and you can help make sure that they got up the stairs okay and that they've gotten into their seat, because you guys are the ultimate in making sure that they have their seat belts on. Okay? So even if they go, I don't need your help, I can do my own. That's great. Go ahead, get up in your seat and put your seat belt on, but I want to make sure I hear it click. And that way, if you're up and in the bus that's standing even at the top of the stairs, you can see if they're having a hard time getting their seat belt on or if they're struggling, you're right there to help them. Okay? All right. If you have both ambulatory and wheelchairs at a house or at the site, try to try to load your ambulatory people on first. Make sure they get on your bus first and in their seats, and then go around and load your wheelchairs up. Okay? Yes. Yep.
I have a gal that uses the lift with a walker and a walker that goes up the steps. I rotate so they both feel special. It doesn't matter, it's just doable.
I would do the one that goes up the steps first, yeah, and then you can go and leave all of your wheelchair stuff or your lift stuff all at the same time. Okay? Wheelchairs. Oh, I had a handout. Doug. Vanna,
Would you like to hand it out?
could you hand out my handouts, please?
Right here, we're gonna do this.
So this is just a reminder for you guys, and I know some of you are just gonna go, yeah, I know this. I don't need this. I want to put it in front of your faces again because I want to impress on you how important it is to make sure that you're putting all 4 of your tie downs correctly on the wheelchair. You want to find that welded spot at as much of a 45-degree angle as you can. And if you have a wheelchair that is really hard to figure that out, come and talk to us and we will come and take a look at it and help you figure out where that tie down should go, okay? Find that welded spot, 45-degree angle. Again, tie them down the exact same way every time. So you're always going to start at the front of the wheelchair by the window and make a circle and tie them down. That way you will ensure that you will not forget a tie down, especially if somebody is talking to you or distracting you. Please, please, please make sure that you do that, and always make sure when you get those tie downs on that you're shaking that wheelchair. Grab the handle, shake it to make sure that it's tight. Okay? And then the shoulder strap, don't forget your shoulder strap. And I've noticed, I've been looking at some hard drives, I've noticed that a lot of people, especially if they have trays on their wheelchair, you're putting the shoulder strap way up here and leaning it on top of the top of the tray. What that's doing is it's coming up here. It's not. They could slide right underneath that if you had to stop quickly or if you were in an accident. What you want to try to do, separate that shoulder strap. Bring one down inside of the tray, and then bring the other part up around the bottom so that that shoulder strap is against their body. Yes?
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I feel that the shoulder strap is a little misleading, because we actually take that shoulder strap and secure it to the inside.
Yes, you're correct. It's just an illustration. You should have that shoulder strap on that tie down that's by the window in the back. Absolutely. Thank you. Also remember, outside pucks go on the front or the back? Front. So so in the back of the inside pucks will go to the back of the wheelchair. Let's see. One last thing when I want to talk about loading and unloading at the sites. When you guys are unloading at the sites, please do not let your people off the bus until one of the staff comes out to get them. Especially coming on winter now, the sidewalks are going to get snowy and icy, and you don't want your clients falling. So make sure that you either get a high side from the staff person, and that they're saying, okay, it's okay to let them off the bus, just let them off, or they come to your bus and they come and get those people. Do not let them get off and just go walk in by themselves into the site.
Can you tell Merritt to wait until all our people are off before they walk away from our bus, because they don't know. One person will come up and start talking to them about the building, or the road,
Okay, yep, I will.
You're doing multiple buses
Okay, I'll have them try to unload yours one bus at a time. It's really what they should be doing. Okay? I'm almost done. So, okay. Also, when loading at the sites, if they don't bring your people out right away, please be patient. I know, Craig, I know. I got the old eye roll, I got it. Remember that they're having the same problems that we are as far as hiring people. There's a hiring shortage out there, and they're having a hard time with staff shortages. So they may not have enough people out there, and they also may have a lot of new people that are still getting trained in. So instead of shrugging your shoulders and rolling your eyes at them, try to help them out. Try to help them out. I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. And just, be helpful and be patient and be respectful with your coworkers. And that goes for fellow drivers also. If you see one of your fellow drivers is not in the correct spot, I'm okay with you going up and telling them, well, maybe you should pull up. But be respectful about it and be nice. You don't need to be, a little snarky about it. Put the claws away. All right? All right, that's all I am going to, oh, and just one last thing, sorry. One last thing. At Linden, make sure that everybody, you're going around the block before you go into Linden. No, do not cut in. Please go around the block and wait your turn to get in, okay? The reason we do that is because otherwise people are just going to cut in, and by the time that other person went around the block, now there's no spots for that person who was there before you. Yes, Ann?
At Commerce, when you're pulling out of Commerce, make sure that somebody is pulling in at the same time.
Yes.
Wait a minute, look around.
Be careful.
Because otherwise somebody's going to have to back up.
Yeah. And another thing about Commerce, please be careful about personal cars that are coming in, and there's the 4 spots for the buses on that curve part. That's where personal cars load and unload. We're trying to go back to before COVID times when they would load at a different spot. We're working on that, but in the meantime, please be careful and watch out for other cars. Remember, parking lots are the second most dangerous place to drive your bus. Okay? All right, I'll quit nagging at you. Did everybody sign this? If you didn't sign it, please sign it, and I think that Mr. Greenbaum has some more stuff for you.
Real quickly, when I see this, the wheelchair securement, just how important that is. Those of you that have been here for a long time, and I believe it's still part of the training, but we have some video of one of our riders, an individual that was not secured properly. Is it still part of your training where we show that? No. I think it's something that we'll put back up out there. It is.
Are you talking about the Fox 9 video?
The Fox 9 video, yeah. Where someone that is not secured in a wheelchair, that is not able to communicate it and knows what's going on, that they know they're not secured properly, and that in all likelihood they're going to tip in their wheelchair, and the inability to communicate that with their driver because they can't communicate, it always has to be in your mind. How awful that would be for someone to be in that position. So please keep that in your mind when you're doing wheelchairs. That, along with distracted driving, being on your phone, being on a phone or something like that, are the 2 points of potential accidents or issues that we have as an organization. So we always want to be cognizant of making sure our wheelchairs are secure and that we are driving without distractions as much as possible. Also, for those that are community drivers, once you get your food, Scott's asking for a quick meeting. If it's not raining, he'll do it outside there. If it is raining, we'll find a place in here. Just has a few things to go over with our community drivers once we're done with this meeting.
Or any newer drivers that have interest to learn about community. Meet us back here.
So meet Scott back there. Lastly, we'll get our food line going. We're going to do our best to try to serve the buns and brats and burgers. There should be enough for everyone to have at least one burger and one brat. If you're wanting 2 brats or something like that, please just start with max 1 of each, and then after everyone's gone through, you can go through again to get a second brat or something like that. So, we should be ready in a second. Give us a couple minutes, you can form a line, and we'll get the food going.
No, remember I had a situation with you were talking about Taiwan. It was my second year here. Can I talk about that or not?
Absolutely. Do you want to come up here and?
No, I want to say that please hook up your people. I had a tip over. You do not ever want to go through that. The sound it makes, the whole situation, I was terrified. Please do your hookups, check them out twice, 3 times you have it. From experience, I don't want any of you people, find people to go through that. Please. Thank you.
Thomas, thank you so much. It is, I just can't think of anything more awful. And if something does happen, if there is a tip or anything like that, please don't try to do anything yourself. Call dispatch and have them take you through the process. It's so scary at the time, and you want to make sure everyone gets up and things like that. You can injure someone more by doing that. So if something happens, call dispatch right away, and they will take you through the process and procedure. But Thomas, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Any other questions?
There's talk over at Oakdale that Oakdale's moving the Linden site in October 4th. Is that true?
I've heard that that's a possibility. I don't think a final decision or a date that I've been informed of has been set yet. We have been informed that that is a possibility, but last time I talked to their executive director, they have not talked to all the families and everyone else involved yet, so nothing has been set in stone yet.
Could be. Let's see.
Thank you, everyone.